everyone, and welcome to another Heart for PCOS interview. I am so excited to be joined today by a very special guest, Drew Lederman, who is the founder and CEO of Resist Nutrition. Drew is on a mission to make it easier to eat for your hormones and blood sugar on the go. She has PCOS and launched her company, Resist Nutrition, after struggling to find protein bar that doesn't mess with her hormones or give her a fast, large blood sugar spike. Originally from South Florida, she graduated NYU in 2020 with a double major in acting and journalism and a minor in business. She lives in Brooklyn and enjoys weightlifting, trying new restaurants, and writing. I love the trying new restaurants part. So welcome, Drew. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. So I wanted to start off and give people a little bit of information and background on you and how this whole resist nutrition thing came to be. So how did your journey with PCOS start?
Yes. So I was diagnosed at 18 and really thought that this would be something I would be really good at, in the sense of I have a great network of people that I thought would really help me manage my symptoms. My dad is a gynecologist. My mom owns a med spa down in Florida and has access to dietitians and hormonal specialists. And so I thought I was going to do really well. And this was also, the height of fitness influencer culture. And all my doctor really told me was, okay, you're already on birth control, so just live a healthy lifestyle, have a low carb, low sugar diet, do a little exercise, and you'll be fine. And at the time, I didn't really have strong symptoms. It was mostly the fact that I had cysts and irregular periods, which I'm sure everybody has a different story here. But I remember going into that vaginal ultrasound and being like so overwhelmed by having that and not really feeling super prepared for what that entailed. And I just really wish that there in the future could be better ways to prepare women for those vaginal ultrasounds, because I was like, this is so invasive. I was super uncomfortable. And yeah, prepare anyone with ovaries to kind of go through that. I think that there should definitely be better systems in place to prep. And that's why this stuff like this is so important, even just spreading awareness, because I didn't know what was going on. And but basically, yes. So I was diagnosed, felt like I had it under control, got really into fitness influencers, and okay, I'll have a healthy lifestyle, I'll eat healthy, I'll exercise more. So I, really went into fitness. Definitely have one of those personalities where I like to kind of do everything 100%. And so I started eating what they ate and lifting weights and just getting so intense with everything. And I started noticing my symptoms get worse and worse. So my hormonal acne just was everywhere. I started losing hair. I started growing hair on my chin, which had never happened to me before. I was super inflamed. Like my face shape was just completely different because I was so inflamed. And I was having these really bad mood swings. And I thought it was my fault. I was like, oh, I must be doing something wrong. It's all me. And so I went even harder, and things clearly only got worse. And it's interesting because now I look back with such kinder eyes, and I, really feel for that person who, just wanted to try her best and really felt like she was doing everything. And this frustration that comes with the feeling of your body fighting you when you're trying so hard. And I just feel like that's a feeling that a lot of people can relate to with PCOS and with any medical issue where there's no quote unquote cure. And so I went back home and was talking to my parents, and they were like, let's figure this out. We, again, have great resources. So let's make this happen. And it's so interesting with my dad, especially since he is a gynecologist. And he also kind of feels bad about that in the way that he felt like he didn't have the tools to help me and needed to outsource that stuff. And for all of his PCOS patients, the desire to do better next time. So I think that that's also really important for doctors not to get defensive when PCOS patients or PCOS advocates are talking about this, because research is always changing. We're always learning, and, being able to adapt and learn and change the way that we address these medical conditions that's how we grow and that's how we learn. So that being said, he was super helpful in getting me in front of hormonal specialists, and my mom was helpful in finding a great dietitian who specialized in PCOS. And what we found was that those fitness foods that I was eating, because all of my favorite fitness influencers were eating them, mostly protein bars. And with my college lifestyle being, I went to NYU, very busy, like many people are, and doesn't have to be in college, but I was having protein bars every single day, sometimes even twice a day on days when I had back-to-back classes. And so they were really messing with my hormones. They're the bars that are really high in protein, really high in fiber, really low in carbs and sugar. So I was like, this is perfect. But they're filled with these artificial gut disrupting inflammatory ingredients that are inherently damaging for hormonal health. And some people can tolerate it better than others. But I was, because of my PCOS, and also I have insulin resistant PCOS, and found that those markers early on, it was not helping me. It was actually impacting my symptoms in a negative way. And so I cut all that stuff out. I started feeling a lot better, and it took a long time. I'm not going to lie. I talked to people about kind of the story, and I get the question, how long did this take? And it took 5 years. So it was a very long journey. I mean, I'm sure other people have even longer stories than that. I'm lucky that I had those resources, and even just the time, to research this on my own and really take my health into my own hands, when so many people don't have that kind of time, or work very demanding jobs, don't allow them to kind of be their own health advocate like this. And so I'm very privileged in that way. And so cut that stuff out, felt so much better, really went down the rabbit hole and just learning about all the other things that impact hormone health that are not food. And so I learned so much about the way that our hormones work in our body, and found it just affects everything, that everything is hormones, and your gut health is hormones, and your mental health is hormones. And it was very overwhelming. And how do you kind of control this vast system? And that was a huge revelation for me, was, learning how to care for myself and be kind to myself as a part of self-care for my hormones. Time went on, I'm still in college. I end up, feeling kind of almost forgetting how bad it was with my PCOS symptoms when I was eating those protein bars. And in the stress of my, final year of college, I ended up kind of going backwards a little bit. And going back to those bars, started noticing the symptoms pop up again, got terrified. I was so freaked out. I was like, oh no. So I switched over to the bars that were date-based or honey-based, where they're natural sugars. And so I thought it would be better for me because they had better ingredients. But I started having different symptoms. I would have these horrible energy crashes, and the blood sugar spikes were so bad that I would need naps, and just really bad fatigue. And again, I started seeing those blood sugar spikes causing some skin issues, which I was like, anybody who's had terrible skin knows it's just the most horrible confidence ripper. It's just rips your confidence apart. And so what happened was the pandemic. And that kind of helped me recenter myself and really kind of give it up a little bit with those protein bars. And so this is 2020, my graduating year of college. And right in March, right before graduation, we get sent home. And I kind of start doing what a lot of people are doing in this time, a little bit of exercise, a little bit of baking, a lot of family time. Definitely had some good luck there with, luckily my family, everybody was okay. And we were very, very careful because my parents are in healthcare. So it was just this, very relaxing time where my immediate family didn't see anybody, because my parents really they were too much in contact with people who have COVID or could have COVID. And despite, all of the precautions that they're taking, basically these hazmat suits, it's still, we wanted to be very careful as far as grandparents, anything like that. So it did really give me the space and time to start doing some testing in my own kitchen. And this is the very, very beginning of Resist.
Wow.
I know, but I was not prepared for how difficult it would be to make something that tasted good. So I made something that tasted bad, and I was eating it myself. And I was like, Mom, what do you think of this? And she was like, that is disgusting. You cannot. And so this is when I started using my resources from NYU, and they have this great entrepreneurial lab. And so my co-founder, Emily, and I met through that entrepreneurial lab, and we started talking about what it would be like to make a product like this that, doesn't give that large blood sugar spike, but also doesn't use those ingredients that are hormone disrupting. And we started talking to people, and people with endo, people with PCOS, new moms, people going through IVF, menopausal women. And we started getting an idea of what people were looking for. And even if they wanted something like this.
Right.
And so we launched our first little test with one product and got some really good feedback. And then we used all of that information and interviews. We did over 100 interviews
Oh,
to create the bar as it is today. And we're actually still iterating as we go. We're tweaking the recipe, new information's coming out, always new studies. You want to be at like the forefront of nutrition right now, and really make sure that we're making the best product possible. But that is the very, very long story of how this company came to be.
I love it. And there was you made a lot of really good points throughout this that I just wanted to talk about a little bit. Number one, the ultrasounds. They're crazy, right? They are absolutely nuts. And the thing that's interesting is only about, yeah, it's only 20% of patients with PCOS show cystic ovaries on ultrasound. So yeah, I think we have to like look at the diagnostic criteria. I know it's important to know whether or not you have, the follicles that are creating problems, but it is invasive, and I don't know that it's me personally, I don't know that it's a really good indicator for PCOS. I think you learn more from physical exams, family history, blood tests, and things of that nature. So definitely something to talk about. And also, when you talked about your dad who had PCOS patients who was doing the best that he could, but didn't have all of the resources. That is really a familiar theme, because a lot of specialists that go through medical school have told me they get maybe 1 hour of learning about PCOS. That's it. And that amazes me, because we're up to 21% or 1 in 5 worldwide. So you would think there would be more of an emphasis in medical school, but we have a lot of work to still do on that. So we will continue to do this. So prior to your diagnosis, had you ever heard of PCOS before?
I had had irregular periods from a young age, and it was something my dad threw around when I was like 13 or 14, that we're going to keep an eye on it. If you still have irregular periods, we'll address it. If you still have regular periods in the next few years. And then I kind of forgot about it after that. And then when my dad brought it up again, I was like, I remember this conversation when he
Yeah.
initially thought maybe I had PCOS. And it's interesting because I wonder, I know that if I, didn't have a gynecologist father, we wouldn't have had that initial conversation. But even then, I wish I knew a little bit more. I again feel like awareness is just so special, because knowledge is power. And
Absolutely.
being able to say and know people who have PCOS would have been so helpful, because when I was first diagnosed, and even just like having the ultrasound and having my ultrasound techs like point to the monitor and show me exactly where the cysts were, I was like, I felt so alone. I knew nobody who had this. I had only heard of it once before in a very medical setting. And, you know, now I know so many women with PCOS, so many people with PCOS, and it definitely is a lot less scary. Like I remember
Yeah.
crying in the ultrasound chair because I
Oh,
was so
yeah.
scared. I was like, am I okay? And now I know I was and am okay. And so many people probably feel the exact same feeling of so alone, so scared. Am I okay? And just want to give everybody a hug and say, it gets better, and you learn, and truly that knowledge really is power, especially
It,
for your
it
health.
is. It is. And yeah, that is one thing about PCOS that I hear from a lot of patients, is that until they connected with others that truly understood what they were going through, that it can be very isolating. And we want to continue to change that. And that's why I love having, people like you on talking about this experience, because I think it goes a long way to not only empower you, but to empower others, to understand that, we're going to get through this. It's not always going to be an easy journey, but we are going to get through this. So after you were diagnosed, you said that you felt a little bit alone, but did you find resources or tools out there, to help you understand the condition better and ultimately find help in treating the condition? Or was it just like you said, a long process where you're still kind of learning.
Yeah, I think you're always learning. I really do believe that even now with all of those books and studies and, workshops that I've been like privileged enough to know about and go to. Yeah, I still feel like I'm always learning. We're always finding out new things. I think, because PCOS research is so underfunded, everything feels new and that's great. And I am proud of that. I also think everybody's body's different. I found that out myself. The whole gluten-free, dairy-free thing,
Yep.
it works. Some people find that really helpful, and maybe it's not a forever thing, but maybe in the beginning it's helpful. I found that was really triggering for me as somebody who had struggled in the past. And this is trigger warning to talk about eating disorders, but struggled in the past with binge eating and then very restrictive dieting. It was just absolutely sent me. And so I definitely think the resources that I was learning about at that time felt a little unhelpful and very restrictive.
Sure.
Um, since most of the knowledge I had was from the handful, and I'm talking about one or two PCOS influencers that I was following at that time. And now I feel so lucky that so many people have come forward with their personal stories and as experts. And now I'm following a lot more dietitians and doctors, and in addition to kind of advocates in the space that I feel are the space has just evolved. So many more people are talking about it. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yeah,
it
absolutely.
seemed like this little secret I had, and I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell anybody. And like, now it's again so exciting to know people and to hear these new ideas and thoughts on lifestyle and nutrition that are, I find, more healthy. And I'm definitely of the mindset of not everything all at once, of one step at a time. And, don't go and throw away everything in your kitchen or all of your personal care products or all of your, dishes, but to take it step by step and not let yourself get overwhelmed, because it's so easy with everything we're learning and all the new research that's coming out and
Yeah.
environmental factors to just like try and just change everything all at once, which is so stressful. And that's not good for your hormones either.
Yeah, no, it's very stressful. And I really appreciate you bringing up eating disorders, because I don't know that a lot of people understand with PCOS, either because of the metabolic issues or some of the issues that we face emotionally dealing with the symptoms, that eating disorders is very prevalent in PCOS. Binge eating is very prevalent in PCOS. And when you get caught in this diet culture, which is, like you said, restrictive, then that can do more harm than good. And that's why it's good that there are nutritionists out there now that are teaching us how to actually nurture our bodies, because that's what nutrition is about, right?
Yes. Love
So
that.
there are a ton of them online, and a lot of them are going to be coming on throughout the month of February to talk a little bit more about PCOS and nutrition. So really important. And people, if you are struggling with restrictive eating and weight, reach out to people. There are resources. There are people online. I know, like, we all seem far away, but we're all here to help if you ever need that help. So what were some of the first steps you took to take control of your PCOS after diagnosis?
Yeah. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit because those first steps I took, they were kind of unhealthy,
Okay.
because they came from a place of fear. And with the knowledge I had, like I said, was cutting out huge portions of my diet. I was over exercising. I was really relying heavily on fitness foods that were marketed to me, to kind of prey on diet culture, which is another thing we are really trying to work on as a fitness food brand, because protein bars are associated with fitness. We're trying to go the other direction and not associate ourselves with diet culture, not associate ourselves with a meal replacement. Nothing can replace a meal. Um,
Right.
really to fill that gap. We're there for you when you need something, a snack, a filling snack that is going to support you, and have that great ratio of fiber, fat, and protein, have those nourishing ingredients, but not replace any, well-balanced meal. And so the first things that I did that were incredibly supportive and were easy. And that's another thing that the whole philosophy behind the brand is, let's make it easier. Let's make it simple. so one thing you can feel really confident in. And so that's kind of where I came at it and what actually really helped for me, because those first few steps, after feeling like it was so hard and there was so much information and everybody was saying something different, the first few steps I took was to really get all of those fat, fiber, protein, complex carb in my meals, and just making sure I wasn't eating naked carbs, really trying to limit my intake of sugar. This was, again, I was in college, so I was, obviously wanted to go out with my friends and have a few drinks and really have fun. Been finding a way to balance that. So I would try and always, if I was having a drink, try and have food with it, which, sometimes is difficult when you're in college and all your friends are drinking frozen margaritas and you want a frozen margarita. It's like, I also tried, another great thing is to just talk to yourself, or be easy on yourself in the moment. Say, I'm going to have this. And one frozen margarita does not a healthy diet break. So
Exactly.
that was very important for me to just practice. And even if I felt silly, kind of like taking that moment for myself to give myself the kindness and permission to do that, that was incredibly helpful because of my past with binge eating, and the whole idea of like, well, if I have one, then I've ruined it, and I've ruined
Yeah.
the whole night, and I guess I'll just have a bunch more and start again tomorrow. And that was the ideal, the kind of mental space that I was trying to kind of break out of. And so really making sure I had the right ratio of fiber, fat, protein, complex carbs, and not being afraid of carbs anymore was like a really big step for me. And that really helped me with my sugar cravings. And I've gotten to the point where I'm like on the opposite. I am the kind of person where if the dessert is really good, I'm going to say, I love it. It's not too sweet.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
It's
No,
like
that's
my whole, yeah, I'm so sensitive to sugar now, which is a really great thing because I automatically crave the more savory dishes now anyway, and have gotten really kind to myself also about calories. I'm really liberal with my olive oil. I'm really liberal with, portion size, and I focus on kind of listening to my body. I definitely find myself, I never have been very good about meditating or intuitive eating because I don't like to think about it that much.
right.
But I like to just try and put those practices in the subconscious, so that when I am eating, I am thinking, I don't need to finish it all. I think I had definitely had one of those families where, it was your, keep clean plate club, you're a
Oh yeah.
great eater, like it's good to eat, which is awesome. But I think in my brain, I was like, I gotta finish everything.
Yeah.
Where it kind of made me not listen to so much to my body when it came to when I was full. So those were kind of the first few things when it comes to eating that were the first few steps I took. From the lifestyle perspective, getting enough sleep.
Oh,
That
big one.
was huge for me. I didn't realize how my cortisol was kind of changing me in a lot of ways. And that's when I really noticed my inflammation come down, was
Yeah.
with sleep. And also with not being so crazy. Used to take like a million supplements. And I've really narrowed that down just to the supplements I really feel help. And with my sleep, magnesium has been such a game changer.
Yeah.
I feel so much more refreshed in the morning. So that has been huge. And then as far as other supplements, I think everybody has what they need.
Oh yeah.
They're
It's
different.
a very individual process, and that's why it's so important when you go and you talk to a nutritionist or a specialist or OBGYN that you that you talk about this, because sometimes you'll have vitamin deficiencies, sometimes you can overdo it if you're taking supplements that your body doesn't need, and your body gets rid of what you don't use anyway, so don't, so you don't have to put all that in your body. But food itself
Totally.
is like a really great way to get those nutrients in when it's done right, and when you're combining the right things. So really important. So as part of our 10th anniversary of Heart for PCOS, we are discussing ways to optimize health and lower risk for cardiovascular disease in patients with PCOS, which is why I'm so excited you are here partnering with us this February. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about your company, Resist Nutrition, which was born out of your frustration to find healthy and delicious snack option to help balance your hormones. I want to read for everyone what's on your website because I think it's like so great. And I think a lot of people, it'll resonate with a lot of people, which is we're on a mission to bring hormone and blood sugar health to the protein bar aisle. Founded by women with hormonal imbalances, it is our goal to make it easy for all people to fuel on the go while taking care of their bodies and the planet. Welcome to the resistance. I absolutely love this because nutrition plays a really big role in helping with insulin resistance and androgen excess, which left unchecked can lead to high cholesterol, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease. So we have to be, really aware, not so much restrictive, but aware, and something that you had mentioned, more like intuitive eating, that we listen to our bodies and our bodies' needs. So why was starting this company and creating these bars so important to you?
Yeah, the whole story I had, 5 years worth of kind of feeling like I was fighting with my body, and really that it was so complicated and hard, and why can't my body just react the way that other people's bodies do? Um, this feeling that it just wasn't easy. And that was my light bulb. It's like, can I make it easier? What's going to make it easy? Like, how can I hack my PCOS to like make it work for my body? And how can I use these hacks to just simplify not just this one snack, but the whole daily life that I lead? And so it's kind of bled into everything I do for my PCOS, and given me a way to help other women, not other women and other people with ovaries who have PCOS and other hormonal imbalances. And that was really something we discovered early on, was that we were like, this is a product for people with PCOS. As we started doing testing, people with endo wanted to know more about the product. People with insulin resistance that are men were like, let me know more about this. And people who are pregnant. And it just became this much bigger thing when we realized that nutrition for hormonal health is much bigger than what we were working on. And how much it could help other people outside of the PCOS community, which we didn't even expect. It was so exciting to hear that and kind of know that nutrition plays a role in so many disorders and in everybody's daily life. And another thing that we've been working on is education around hormonal health for people who have healthy systems, where they might have just a little bit of hormonal acne, or maybe they struggle with fatigue, or maybe it's adrenal or digestive issues, and it all is revolving around hormonal health. And we want to be able to help them as well. And kind of the driver for us is really just helping people make it a little bit easier, be really confident in this one thing. And then we're also really excited about our sustainability. I think we like jumped out of the gate with sustainable packaging. And so that's something we're really proud of. I cried in the middle of the night once because I was like, we can't put wrappers into the landfills. Like, I just like imagined all these wrappers going to the landfills, and I was like, we can't do that. So,
oh my goodness. That's so great though. So they're good for your body and good for the environment. I love that.
yes.
I absolutely love that. What makes Resist bars different from other bars? You touched on a couple of different things, but like I want the true lowdown. What makes these bars so special?
Yeah, it's the main thing is that ratio of protein, fiber, and healthy fats. And it's not just kind of having those great plant-based ingredients, so you're kind of avoiding all of the hormonal effects of other ingredients like whey. It's also, what we don't include. So we don't include things like animal products. We don't include things like sugar alcohols, which can just still disrupt blood sugar and can be super damaging for your gut, cause things like gut dysbiosis, depending on which sugar alcohol we're talking about, in addition to things like gums that can also disrupt your gut and cause inflammation, which can be, if you have inflammatory PCOS and other inflammation in general, it can contribute to other PCOS symptoms like hormonal acne. And so kind of not including things like that, and even things that some brands might call natural and healthy, like for example, natural flavors can be proprietary blends that can have any number of things if they're coming from quote unquote natural sources. And so being so thoughtful about each and every one of our ingredients is not just what we include, it's what we don't include. And then having particularly powerful, real food ingredients like turmeric and maca and cinnamon and goji and just chia. So you got your omega-3s and anti-inflammatory and
Oh,
balancing ingredients. And real food is awesome and so powerful. And I think we often forget about this in a world of adaptogens and, functional food where, we're complicating things in a way where
yeah,
real food tastes amazing. Real food should taste amazing. And
it should. Absolutely.
it's definitely like a huge part of what we're doing is bringing us back to that idea that like real food is powerful and tastes amazing and has so many benefits that have been proven for thousands of years. Like maca is an ancient, basically an adaptogen designed for hormonal health, and cinnamon has been used for hundreds of years for better blood sugar. And just thinking about all the ways that our food is so powerful and can really heal us. And that is definitely something that I felt early on with my problems with my eating disorder, was that everything I put in my body I felt was attacking me and messing with
Wow.
my PCOS. And
Yeah.
really being confident that I'm nourishing my body and that everything I eat is healing and nourishing is like, it's so calming for the mind.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so great. So you have a couple different flavors right now, right? So what are these flavors that you have of the bars right now?
We have a cinnamon dark chocolate maca flavor.
Okay,
We have a
I'm
goji
sold.
cherry chip flavor with chia seeds and a peanut butter crisp turmeric flavor.
Okay, I'll take one of each, please.
Yeah.
That's great. And again, you said it's all natural ingredients and it helps energize and nurture the body. And really important what you said about the role that food plays, because food in itself can be a form of medicine and it helps heal our bodies when we're putting the right things into our bodies. And that's one of the things that kind of drew me to you guys is that you were using all these like incredible ingredients and the science behind it, which can help balance hormones and blood sugar. And it's amazing, and I cannot wait for others to learn more about you and your company and to check out your products, because guys, they are pretty incredible. They
Thank
really are.
you.
No problem. And so, lastly, I have a question that I ask everyone at the end of their interview. Why is raising awareness for PCOS and joining campaigns like Heart for PCOS so important to you?
Yeah. I mean, it all comes back to kind of healing my inner child in a very personal way that, and I know, 18 is not necessarily that child, but that much of child, but I feel for that version of me who felt so alone and struggled so much and felt like everything was so difficult, and that, why can't it be easier? All of these frustrations. And if only I had the knowledge I have now, if only I had, a guiding hand or more resources or knew and more people. And it's become my mission in my personal life for my friends who have PCOS to be that resource, to be that person who reads all the books and learns it all so they don't have to. And that's what we're doing with Resist as well. We're doing it so you don't have to. And I think that is really what it is at heart for me. Is I would love to make it easier for other people with PCOS who haven't gotten there yet, who haven't, gone on this 5-year journey or however long it is. And I want to help make that shorter for them. I want to help them figure it out earlier and help them feel less alone.
I absolutely love that message, and that's really what it's all about. And that's what has led me to be an advocate for 23 years, is that desire that nobody goes through what you had to go through. So I thank you for raising your voice, for speaking up, for sharing your story, especially with harder things like eating disorders and binge eating. I think it's important to sometimes put a spotlight on that, because a lot of people don't speak up about it and feel defeated by it. But you are a true testament to turning things around and making them work with you and for you. So I thank you for sharing that with everyone. And gang, we still have a bunch of stuff going on throughout the month of February. We have events, we have interviews, we have giveaways, over 60 speakers. So please tune in throughout the month of February for Heart for PCOS. Get involved, raise your voices, know you are not alone. And one more thing that I would love you to do, Drew, is tell everyone how they can find you on social media, your website, and buy your amazing products.
Yeah, we are at Resist Nutrition on all social platforms. Our website is www.resistnutrition.com, and that's where you'll find our products.
That's awesome. Thank you again for spending time with me today and sharing your story. And I hope that we can do more together in the future. And gang, thank you for joining and listening into our interview. And I will see you again soon.